What's up, guys? We are here today meeting with David Lopez. David Lopez is a very, very, very distinct, very, very unique individual. It goes without saying, this guy has a huge amount of gifts. This guy is an artist, painter, rapper. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But I'm not going to be the one that tells you guys about that because honestly, that's something that David should be telling you guys. However, I want you guys to get to know David. Very interesting life, very full life so far. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and ask David to give us a little bit about him. Starting with David, what's your background? What is your nationality? Because typically when I look at people, I can tell right off the bat what they are, who they are, probably where they come from. Yes, but at the same time, when it comes to you, I got it totally wrong. Let's go ahead and get it totally right off the bat for your viewers. David, where are you from?
I am originally from Lafayette, Louisiana, and I got to Houston as fast as I could. My mom is Filipino, and my dad is Creole, which is a mix of African, Spanish, French, Native American, and probably a few other things that he doesn't even know.
Well, growing up in a mixed household, I'm pretty sure you had the best of both worlds. On top of the fact that you grew up in Lafayette, Louisiana, you guys got gumbo, you guys got po' boy sandwiches, and on the other end, you guys got lumpia. Now, who doesn't want to have lumpia? Growing up with a Filipino mother and an African-American father who was Cajun, how did that help you develop as an individual?
Well, there's like 101 Filipinos in Houston, Texas. So we started out with the general lumpia, the bok choy, and then when I moved up here about 5 years ago, I got to see some really interesting things that I don't think my mom's even heard of. But I was born in Louisiana in a little city called Lafayette. I also spent some time there in different homes. I was raised partially by my grandma a little bit. It was very poor. In fact, it was very, very poor. We grew up, and if you were just inside the house and you fell asleep in the bed, you'd wake up on the other side of the room because the roaches had moved the bed all the way to the other side of the room. I remember coming in one day and we had bombed the whole house, and I didn't know at that time that we were in poverty, but we had bombed the whole house for roaches, and I came in there and it looked like Disneyland with roaches.
You know, you sound like a guy who's definitely had a different upbringing. One of the things that I wanted to ask you was, everyone kind of knows what the Deep South is, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia. Growing up in a mixed biracial home, did you ever feel that you were ostracized? Did you ever feel like things were a little bit different? Did you ever feel like you weren't, you know what I mean? Like, did you ever feel different growing up?
Actually, it isn't that I felt different. It's that I was different and didn't know it. I didn't see the inside of a nice Lexus. I think we played bingo on our bus stops for the nice cars. We pass by and say bingo. But growing up at that time, I didn't think that we were poor. I just enjoyed cartoons and comic books like any other young man. But when we moved to Houston, and we started looking around, the houses were about $500,000 here, maybe $700,000 in Houston, and that was amazing. Then when I moved up here to California, and the houses up here are in the millions, that made me want to stretch who I was and what I did, because I felt like I didn't know that there was that much out there, and so all my gifts were contained at that time, and those things that I wanted, I was always content, but those things that I saw other people had, it was like there was this big chasm between me and them, and I didn't think I could ever jump it.
Now, I know in the South, religion is a huge aspect of just everyday living. I mean, you can throw a stone and hit a church. That's how common religion is down there. How much did religion play a part in your life? Was it a huge thing, a minor thing? Does it continue to be something that kind of drives your everyday life nowadays?
Well, I think I grew up as an altar boy. I had catechism and I did a lot of the sacraments and whatnot.
So a good Catholic boy.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting when I came to Houston and they had different churches other than mainly Catholic churches. And I guess I remember going to a very large church at that time. It housed about 8,000 members. And it was completely different than the Catholic upbringing that I had.
Okay, so would you say that religion still plays a major part in your life?
No. I really just love to wake up and tell God good morning and tell him how I feel. I don't want to bore him with doing the same thing over and over again. I like to really let him see a different side of me every day if I could. But I go to a Catholic church right now as well as an Assemblies of God church. And I was always raised not to judge people. But I do love to keep the Lord interested in what I have to say.
Nice. Well, I know a lot of people do. They grow up in the church, they move away from the church. Some people grow up in the church, stay in the church. It's good to see that you still keep foundational, your foundation in the church. One of the things I wanted to bring up, I know that we spoke about it in private, and I think it's something that a lot of your viewers are going to want to know a little bit about you. You were diagnosed early on with undifferentiated schizophrenia. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that? I'm pretty sure we have a lot of viewers. Everyone's going through their thing, and I'm pretty sure we have a lot of viewers that have been diagnosed with undifferentiated schizophrenia. How has it affected you, and when were you diagnosed?
1996, I was put into the hospital in December for 6 days. And at that time, they thought it was just depression.
Now, how old were you when this happened?
Born in 78, 88, 98, just under 19 years old.
Oh, so this happened later on in life. It's not like it was something that was diagnosed early on, like, say, autism or something like that. This is something that was diagnosed later on.
Well, the thing is, with schizophrenia, it can lie dormant, and it's often triggered by some form of stressful activity. And I think I had my first attack that same year, 96, where I missed the last 3 months of my high school and my prom, and it's rough. It's very rough.
Well, before we get into it, why don't we go ahead and extrapolate a little bit more. 1996, the missing of your high school prom. What happened? Take us in chronological order. What happened? What was the kind of straw that broke the camel's back, that kind of opened you up?
Well, to tell you the truth, everybody's got a problem. Everybody's got something that they deal with, or something that's inside that they haven't reconciled with inside. But at that age, what I should have been doing was I should have been hanging out with friends and going to movies and doing those things. But what I felt, I guess, when the headaches started happening.
So first off, was the physiological changes, headaches?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know. In fact, I didn't even tell my parents. The headaches would go for about months, and especially I'd watch a movie or something, and it was, I don't know what, something was going on, a chemical imbalance or whatnot,
Is it the change in lights? Is it the volume? What did you feel was the catalyst that kind of...
Well, when I researched schizophrenia, when schizophrenia initially happens, your mind goes through a transfer of things, and it starts to just change and move and swirl. And those things started happening to me. I didn't hear voices. I didn't see things. I didn't feel any hallucinatory pains. Some schizophrenics can feel pains that are not there, like limbs being chopped off or whatnot. So for me, at that time, just going through life with headaches, I thought they'd go away and whatnot, maybe I wasn't eating right. But I think I think that as they started to escalate, and then when I was pulled out of school because of them, and when I was pulled out of school, I was staying at home, and when I was at home, I was by myself because my parents were working. So the headaches disappeared, but then at the same time, I started losing track of time. I don't know how to say it. I just, my dad, when he started noticing these things happening, he would sit me in the car and we would drive, and it would calm me down. He would just drive down the plains where the grass was, and he would just drive and drive. And I remember one time when it got so bad, I didn't notice it was so bad. The only way I could see it was from the outside looking in and seeing my father crying when he's driving me. And I felt like with the window down, and it's just the way that the serenity. I think because he grew up with a lot of mental things himself, but through drugs, he kind of knew what to do to calm me down. Looking back, I didn't notice that, but I see what he was doing. But those 20 years after 1996.
Well, before we get into your more recent life, tell me about your high school life. How was that? How did it go?
Man, it's strange. That's when I found gangster rap.
I think we all kind of found gangster rap
And
in the early and late 90s, I think.
but we would actually skip class and go behind the theater, and we would do freestyle battles. And it was our high school year, so it was funny. It's like we were gonna leave each other anyways, and we couldn't get into too much trouble just skipping class. But we'd sit back, and somebody would do a beat on the wall, and we would just attempt to outmaster one another.
You know the funny thing is when I think about you and I know that your diagnosis, it's funny that someone that is diagnosed with something that could be as debilitating as undifferentiated schizophrenia also has these gifts where are very extroverted. Like, come on. I would probably say I'm your average guy, and I wouldn't go and freestyle because I know I don't have that in me. And to take that gift and actually do it in public, do it in front of strangers, to me, that's even more extroverted than, say, someone like me who doesn't have a diagnosis of undifferentiated schizophrenia. So the fact that you are diagnosed with undifferentiated schizophrenia, it behooves me that you are also able to do things above and beyond what many people will consider normal and do it well. So, you picked up gangster rap in high school, you would cipher and do these freestyles with your friends. How was your social life?
Well, I knew a lot of people, and I mean, I knew a lot of people. I wouldn't stay with the Asians or the nerds or the gangsters or the wannabe gangsters. I kind of just mingled between all of them, and I just had a lot of trust at that time, and I would just go and we would talk about things. They all knew I was a Christian, and they all knew that I was transparent. But I guess when those things happened, after those things happened, that they knew I was a Christian, I think one of the crazier things that happened was when that you said it was a stress trigger to start the schizophrenia. I guess it was around the time that my mom and dad were fighting all the time. And so the pain that the nerds saw me, the sports people, the athletes, they all knew me, one side of me. I was always welcoming other people and not judging them. But when I was going through such pains as I was going through family, domestic things, whatnot, I would say that they saw that and they wanted to help, but they really couldn't. So they would just let me go through high school with those pains, and they would just assist or help calmly for the last year and a half, 2 years of high school.
So around your junior year, that's when things just started kind of piling down on you, right?
Yeah, those things started to connect, and the stress on things. I didn't know that my mind could not take so much stress. In fact, when it started to do those things, that was one of the hardest lessons to learn, to keep stress off me. And
so when you know, a lot of people don't realize that stress can be a very physical manifestation, and it can do a lot. It can debilitate people. I know people that allow stress to debilitate them to the point where they're unable to physically do much. Do you feel like stress was able to have that kind of a hold on you, where you weren't able to do just your basic everyday things?
yeah, those stress things, you have to start to learn and know your own body, your own mind, your own psyche, and you have to learn how to channel those things. Because my dad, he dealt with drugs and heroin, whatnot, cocaine, and he used to tell me, you have to beat it, you have to fight it. And I'm like, how do you do that, Dad? And he's right. He was right. I guess he told me because he knew I could do it, not because he knew that he did it and I couldn't. I really believe that him giving me that transference of how to do it was the biggest difference in me getting out of it. Then I would say I would have just succumbed and just gave in and just had still there's things there that your mind won't let go.
So your junior year, you started having these issues manifest themselves more. It affected your junior year, senior year. Did it affect you being able to graduate, or were you able to graduate on time when it came to high school?
I was able to go to summer school and take care of those classes that I had to finish. And ironically, I still missed graduation.
You know what? People will say that the walking part is the most important part, but I think the majority of us would probably say getting that diploma, getting that piece of paper is probably more important than you walking. So congratulations for actually being able to get that piece of paper.
Yeah.
College. What made you decide to go to college? What college did you get into?
Houston Baptist University. I actually walked, and I got my graduation.
Well, you made up for it.
Yeah, and my dad was able to cry again. He just cried. I saw him proud as I passed by him, and that was a nice feeling. And I'm looking forward to more college in the future. But
well, let's go backwards. Let's go backwards into your 4 years college, or did you
4 years?
4 years. Now let's go back into your 4 years of college. Did you have any incidents where you broke down?
Yeah, I did.
I'd like to kind of focus on that.
Okay, well, ironically, it was the second and third year that I was breaking down mentally, and I think I had a little bit more knowledge concerning the breaking down, so I knew it was coming before it happened. I could tell, and I got to tell a few people ahead of time, this is what's going to happen. I feel this change coming on, or something's off. And I would tell professors. In fact, one of them was a psychiatrist and a professor. And she was very, very proactive in trying to find ways to have the people around me understand me. This is Baptist kids that were raised in homes where there's more wholesome. HBU is a private college, Christian college. A lot of wholesome kids there.
What made you decide to go to a Christian private university as opposed to a state run college?
I looked into colleges in the area, even Florida, Abilene, Oklahoma. I ended up